The next thing I want to ask you about is self-worth, because a lot of people struggle with their self-worth, believing that they're good enough, doubting themselves, kind of like what we were talking about. Some people just don't believe it's possible for them. What advice do you have for people?
This one is like really fascinating because so often we are not our own best friend. So often when you really start to pull back the layers, you hear how much you judge yourself. And no one is ever going to come and love you enough that it will replace self-love. And everything in our life, every relationship we have is a reflection of our own self-love. How easeful, how the relationships flow, how our work feels. And it's interesting because each of us, God willing, each of us will get to be 80 or 95, let's say. And you could picture the 95-year-old version of yourself who's very wise and very authentic. And you know that by the time you're in your 80s and 90s, you'll just be yourself. And you can kind of feel what she would be like. And she would no longer care if other people approve of her because she approves of herself. So if you start to sense that 80-year-old version of you, why would you wait until 80 to give yourself permission to just feel okay with yourself when you could do it now and then enjoy these decades?
Yes.
And so I think it's very grounding because we've all had experiences with our grandparents or with other older people, and you see them get to a point where everything they've been through turns to wisdom. And it's very important to remember that wise woman within us and the little girl version of us who feels unworthy and wounded. And she's been waiting for the wise woman to show up.
Oh my gosh. So beautiful. And it really puts things into perspective. Like, if you can just imagine who you would be then, why not be that now? What are you waiting for? What's the point? What's the point in trying to please more people?
Exactly. Because I think about how my grandmother, she didn't know how to write a check or drive a car because she was born in 1918. So by the time she was an adult, women didn't vote or, and then when she was she died at 96. When she was in her 80s, she was like my best friend. She was so cool that when I went to high school, because she never went past 5th grade to school, she went to high school with me.
Oh my God, I love that.
Yeah. And so she got her GED in her 70s because
that's so cool.
She was denied because she was a girl in her culture. They didn't get to go to school. It makes me want to cry. So
I know.
Yeah. So in her 70s, she said to me, I'm going to go to high school. And it was so hard for her. And she did it. And she got herself a degree. And she used to say to me, I can't believe the way I let myself feel about myself. And then in her 80s and her 90s, her husband died. My grandfather died before I was born. So she was a widow really early, like in her 50s. And she had to learn for the first time at 58 how to drive a car. And she had to learn how to write a check. And she had to learn how to do all these things for herself for the first time at 58, open a bank account and come up with her own opinions. She had never had any of that. I just learned a lot watching her come into herself and how frustrated she was that she denied herself. I said to her before she died, a year before she died, what would you have done if you had a career? And she said, I would have been an artist. I would have been a painter. And so late in her life, she painted, and it's I think about the women listening to this now. It's one day you're going to be that person and you have the energy to do it now, right? And it puts everything in perspective because by the time you're 85, when my grandma died, she was 96 and she used to kiss the hands of the people who were her caretakers. She was such a kind person. But at 96, she had lost all of her siblings. They were all gone by then. She had lost her husband. she didn't have all of her friends. Her friends were gone. So her funeral was her children and her grandchildren, right? So you think about how you waste so much time trying to get the approval of your followers. Or it's like, they won't be there, right? So what matters is, how did you show up for yourself and the people you loved, period, right? And by her becoming so much wiser as an older person, she instilled that in me. She used to say to me, there is nothing you can't do. And I would bet everything on you because I know you can do it. So that's how you remember the truth, is you remember the version of you at 80 and you say, what is she? And so sometimes I say to people listening to my podcast, I say to my students, take out a pen and paper and write yourself a letter from the 80-year-old version of yourself, because she would like to tell you something today.
Oh my gosh, Cathy, what a blessing. Like, first of all, what a blessing your grandma is, like to be in your life and for you to be able to share that story with us today. It's so beautiful and it's so moving and just inspirational.
Yeah, she was amazing. She died at 96. That's already 10 years ago. And those stories really do put everything in perspective.
Yeah, definitely. All right, Cathy, I wish we could talk for hours, but I think I'll wrap this up for today's podcast. If you have something like a final message that you'd like to share with our listeners today, what would that message be?
You are a masterpiece. You're a piece of the master. And out of 8 billion people in the world, God added you to the equation because your uniqueness was needed to make this tapestry what it needs to be. And the more you truly accept that, you can save the energy on trying to prove yourself and enjoy getting to be you, because it's a pretty cool assignment that you were even made the way you are. And just show up and be the most loving version of yourself, and the most magical things will happen.